Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about the film Psycho. Yes, the original. Um, some consider it kind of like the original, or not maybe the reboot of horror, so to speak, the way that we know it today. I mean, of course, there was Dracula and Frankenstein and the Wolfman and the Universal classic films, and this one, it's classic in a different way, and I think a lot of people that don't even really like horror films, I think kind of appreciate this one just because it's a great film. It's just solid. And Alfred Hitchcock just really knew what to do when it came to just making films in general. I mean, specifically horror films. That was kind of what he was master at, but kind of like John Carpenter in that way. But anyway, it's a film from 1960, and basically it is about this Janet Leigh's character steals 40 grand from her boss so she can go run away with her boyfriend. Is basically what happens. She's having an affair, and that's what it is. Um, you know, so it's her. It's Janet Leigh, Anthony Perkins, Martin Balsam, and Vera Miles, and so Janet Leigh, of course, ends up at the infamous Bates Motel, run by Anthony Perkins, who just does a solid job in this. I mean, a really solid job. Which was weird because I don't think he was even nominated, or if he was, he didn't win. And Janet Leigh actually won a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress, which, I mean, everyone in this film really did a really good, solid job. So I'm fine with that, and you know, just the fact that it was in black and white, I think, is what made it work so well. Because I don't for people that aren't film buffs like myself, the infamous shower scene, where Anthony Perkins rips open the thing and just starts stabbing Janet Leigh. That blood is actually chocolate syrup, and since they knew that they were doing it on doing it in black and white, they were able to kind of use whatever they wanted, and chocolate syrup was what they ended up running on. So when the blood goes down the drain, that's what it is, and that's why it has that color. But it looks like blood. You can't really tell. I mean, it's a really good. It's a good makeup effect, I guess. And just little touches like that are always really nice to see in films that and that's an iconic scene, and no one questions it. Nobody thinks, oh man, that just doesn't look real. I mean, it's so just visceral and just gets such a great reaction from everybody. I mean, who doesn't remember ripping the curtain open and then ree ree ree? I mean, I think that they used that soundtrack, or that specific like ree ree ree. I think they used that for like all kinds of things, and it just goes to show what a mark on not just film history. I mean, it really is just history. That Alfred Hitchcock had, and Janet Leigh and Martin Ball. I mean, all these people that were in this. I don't know if it was they. Obviously, a lot of them had careers before this and continued to have careers after. But I think the people that didn't have, like, I think that's why people learned Anthony Perkins' name. I think is a big reason, and I mean, at the very least, that's why people know it now. And so it's really cool just to see where it came from and where we've come from in horror films, because that's, like I said, that's kind of the landmark horror film of what we grew into. I mean, you could argue that The Exorcist was more so, and you wouldn't be wrong necessarily, but I mean, we are now past the Universal classic monsters, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Invisible Man. We're past that at this point, and we are now into kind of what we grow and have learned to love. It kind of makes it where we are today. I think are more. I mean, of course, obviously great people like Robert Eggers and others, draw from the classics. I mean, he's going to remake Nosferatu, which I'm looking forward to very much. And so, I mean, he people clearly draw from the classics, but I mean, I think a lot of people this is kind of, when you say Halloween and horror, I mean, you really think Alfred Hitchcock, and even his non-horror films. I mean, there's The Birds, of course, was one, but I mean, I think even his non-horror films like Rope, and others, they just have that nice suspense factor. And it's just really nice. It's really nice to see. It's nice to know that it's still appreciated even after all these years. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out. I mean, it's a classic. What else can I say about it? It's just a classic. I think that one of the things that people try to do, and I think it messes up not their whole careers, of course, but I think it maybe like puts them on like a standstill. And another reason why I think that like Robert Eggers and Ari Aster are people that in the horror world that are thriving is because they've taken these ideas that haven't been really used before, and even if they were kind of similar ideas, they put their own spin on them and given us what we now love and enjoy in things like The Witch and Midsommar and different things like that. And I very much look forward to more films coming out. And if you read interviews with Ari Aster and Robert Eggers, I mean, their inspirations are the greatest people to draw inspiration from. And Alfred Hitchcock is, of course, one of the many. And I'm glad that we have some people still really, kind of taking the flag up for horror, because it's not really been taken seriously as a genre. I mean, Jordan Peele is another one that obviously takes it very seriously, and his films are great. And it's just kind of horror for some reason has always had a weird, I don't want to say love-hate relationship with the crowds, because there really wasn't a whole lot of love except for the people like myself that, were already fans. And so now we're seeing this uprise in horror films, which I love. I'm all about that. And for us, the people who have been there from the beginning, to us, it's just, it's just another Friday night. We're just going to watch another horror film. And then for people that maybe weren't, like, I know my brother has never really been a big horror fan, but he really likes Robert Eggers' work. And of course he loves Hitchcock and that kind of thing. But I mean, the fact that we're getting people that are taking it so seriously, and, even people like Eli Roth, which I like him, and I obviously love that he sticks up for horror and that, but I'm not the biggest fan of his work overall. I mean, there's some films that I definitely like. I like The Green Inferno. There's a couple other ones, but I mean, for the most part, they're pretty silly and all that, and that's fine. And he likes doing the kind of campy horror stuff, which is great. Cabin Fever and all those. So that's fine. But it's nice to see where we've come from and where we're going. And I think the people that are really kind of taking the torch and going with it are the people I just mentioned. And I think that they really are a very good start to their careers. Hopefully they end up like Alfred Hitchcock and have, 50 plus movies under their belts, and we get, just great horror films, or great films in general. It doesn't have to be horror films, because that's like Robert Eggers. The Northman wasn't a horror film. It was just a great adventure. And so, I mean, obviously this is the month that we would be talking about horror, so I want it to happen, and I very much look forward to Nosferatu when it comes out, and I think that he'll probably nail it, hit it out of the park like he has been the whole time. Ari Aster, what is it called? It was called like Depression Road or something like that. Beau is Afraid. That's what it is. Beau is Afraid. It was called something like Depression Road, or I don't know. But that one's got Joaquin Phoenix in it, and he's solid. I mean, so you got a solid director, solid actor. It's probably going to be a solid film. And no, that's pretty much it. I just want the genre and the community, the horror community, let your freak flag fly, my friends. And I want it to be taken more seriously. And I think that with these types of films, it will. I honestly really think we're looking at the new kind of, not revolution, but the new wave of like horror's coming back, and I think we're looking at people that are being influenced and have been influenced by the right people who are making these films, and so I am very confident in the people that are coming out with horror films now. It's not like we have. I mean, I'm not trying to, if you, the fact that you attempt things and you've done more than I've done in the horror world, but I mean, it's not like we're in the era of One Missed Call and Drag Me to Hell, things like that. Not that those movies are terrible or anything. It's just I think it was horror wasn't taken as seriously still, and I think that people didn't really know what to do with it, and unless it was like a campy kind of 80s cheesy slasher film. Scream was one of the only ones that held the torch for a while, and they're great films, but I mean they weren't 100%. I mean, Scream's not really scary. They're great, but they're funny and kind of campy, and yeah, there's a little suspense, but nothing's gonna make you stay up at night. And I think we're getting into the I can't sleep because I just watched Ari Aster's new film, or I just watched Robert Eggers' new film, or whatever it may be. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. But thank you for watching. And what are your guys' thoughts? If you got anything, throw it in the comments. If there's a new horror movie coming out, let me know, because man, I'm down to watch it. But yeah, I definitely think that we're looking at the new wave of good horror films, and I'm glad to see it's here, and I never want to see it go. But until next time, my friends, I will leave you with this, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.